Hi, I'm Shane with the EWWW Image Optimizer, and in this video I'm going to show you how to deliver WebP images using the Cloudfront CDN. So there's some configuration that you need to do when you're using WebP with a CDN, and we'll show you that with Cloudfront. Most other CDNs, it's a one-click deal that is clearly labeled, vary the cache on WebP or something to that effect. And they can help you with that. But CloudFront, not so much. We'll show you a couple other tricks along the way with their policies. And with that, let's get into it. So I've already got WebP conversion on, and for all the images that we're going to be looking at today on the home page, they're already converted. And so the first thing we have to do is insert our server-side WebP rule. So this will tell our origin server if the accept header, that's this guy right here, supports WebP, then deliver WebP. Otherwise, don't worry about it and just deliver the original. All right, so let's go ahead and insert those rules. Insertion successful, self-test failed. Let's open that in a new tab and just muck around here a little bit. Okay, now we got green. So it was just taking a minute. Just had to mess with the query strings a little bit to get it to register. So that tells us it is working, and probably if we refresh this page, it might even give us the green. Yep, awesome. Okay, so the other side of this is our CDN, right? So I have a CloudFront distribution set up for this site already, and what we're looking for is under the behaviors section. Now, older CloudFront CDN zones or distributions might only have one default behavior here, and in that case, you would just edit that one and do all your changes there. Otherwise, we're only doing images, so we only need to worry about JPEG, the two different versions here, and PNG files, and maybe GIF files if you're using the API to convert those as well. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about GIF images. So let's take a look just at the first one, JPEG, and we're going to edit that behavior. And we have our origin, and all that stuff is fine. And this is using the new cache policy and origin request policies rather than the legacy cache settings. Real quick, I'll show you what that would look like with the legacy settings, and then we'll go back to the other. And so basically, the only thing you need to edit is the headers and which headers to include in the cache key. And we say we want to include specific ones, and we want the accept header. And we would add that, and that would be it, right? But we're not going to do it that way. We don't need to worry about cookies. You shouldn't really be varying the cache based on cookies. You can choose all query strings. It's not usually necessary, but if you've got some sort of cache busting plugin that's adding query strings to your images specifically for CDN use, that's something you could look at. But we'll go back to the cache policy, and we'll set this back to the one that we had, all viewer except host header. And then we had caching optimize. So let's set it to that for a second, and we can view that policy. And this tells us that we have a good TTL, which is very long. I believe that's 1 year. Could be shorter, but you want at least a month, 2 months, but you can easily go up to a year with images on a CDN. And there's no cache variation here, nothing on the headers, no cookies. If you request an image, it's always going to deliver the same content every single time. So we need a custom policy. And to do that, we can go back to our policies here up at the top. And these are all the managed policies, the one that they give you out of the box. But down here at the bottom, we can create a new cache policy. You can see I already have one, but I'm going to create a brand new one so you can see what it looks like. And we will call this WebP demo vary. We're going to vary based on whether the accept header is allowing WebP or not. So we could even put that in the description if we needed to. The default TTL's time to live is fine. And then in here, we effectively do the same thing that we did on that other screen. We look at the headers, we choose accept, and we will go ahead and do all query strings just to be safe. If your distribution is only set up with one behavior in the first place, you should already have a policy that's honoring all query strings, especially for JavaScript and CSS. Otherwise, stuff is going to break horribly when you try to deliver your JavaScript and CSS over the CDN, and then a plugin updates and your browsers or your visitors are not getting that updated code. So you always want query strings for JavaScript and CSS, especially for images. It just doesn't hurt to be safe. And that should be it. They're not going to be using gzip or broadly support, but it doesn't hurt to leave those checked either. That just makes sure that if for some reason Cloudfront encountered a compressed file, it would be able to handle it. You would think that would just be default, but this is Cloudfront. Everything is more difficult. So that's our policy. Now we can go back to our distribution here and we'll refresh so we can edit this and see the new policy that we created. So under the cache policy, we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and here is our new WebP demo vary policy. And we will save that. Then we'll come down to JPEG with an E and edit that behavior. Change that to WebP demo vary. Save that guy. And now if we look over here, all of our image types should be using the correct policy. And as you can see, I had already modified some of these to use this custom caching with query strings policy for our CSS. And I could go ahead and do that for JavaScript, but I'll do that later. Let's go see if it worked. So here's all the images. They're being served as ping or JPEG. I'll show you how to get there first. So if you right click anywhere on your page and go to inspect, this will open up the browser dev tools. We'll go over to the network tab and reload. We have images selected here, so we're just looking at images. And now that we changed our settings, we have web type WebP, 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 WebP. These may already be cached on the CDN. So let's give it one more. Oh, I don't have the cache disabled. I need to disable the cache. Aha. And now we're getting WebP, WebP all across the board. And if we keep scrolling, we should get more WebP. So that's how that works. So if you do have any missing ones, you'll need to make sure you go and get that converted to WebP, and then you can invalidate the cache from your invalidations section. You can create an invalidation, and then you can do like WP content. You can just do everything, or you can do a specific file or set of files. Like for that guy, we could take and copy the URL. Paste that in there. Yes, we know. That, and then we could go like this. to make sure we get all of the thumbnails as well. Create that invalidation, and then it should go flush all that stuff from all the CDN servers. It's very possible that Cloudfront won't pick up the WebP copies until you clear the cache. I haven't done extensive testing with that to see one way or another, but it appears that most of them converted to WebP right away. Or I shouldn't say converted, but were delivered as WebP as soon as we made those changes. And that's that. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments or shoot us an email at support@ewww.io. That's 3 W's in case you missed it. And happy optimizing.